So here we go with part 4. I made some more of that kind of light green because I ran out. And we're just going to, we're going to do the arms now. And we're just going to take some of that light green and just make it into kind of a long piece like that. And you can do this for size sake to make, so you can see how big or small or whatever the piece is. And it should be fairly big, but not too big. And then once it's a good size, I would say it's a pretty good size, you're not going to put it on because we're going to make the arm. So there's our sleeve, which for some reason it didn't work in the clay very well. You can still see some of the dark green. So let me just quick kind of fix that. Yeah, mixing clay, you really gotta mix it in good. All right, so did that. It's the same size and stuff. I just kind of fixed it up. Again, we're going to be working with white now, so you might want to wipe your hands. And what I'm going to do, because he has a little cuff on his jacket, when this is a good size, all you're going to do is take some white, like, whatever. You can either use your thumb or your finger, whatever, and just make it kind of two-dimensional flat, and then flatten one side of the sleeve and put the circle over the sleeve. Then you can kind of take your finger and push the white up a little bit, like up on the sleeve, so it creates that kind of cuff effect. And that's a pretty good size. Now we're going to take some brown. This is the little part of his fur that you can still see before his glove. I'm going to make sure that's a good size. You want it to be rather thick. I want it to keep in size with, the rest of his arm. And you can either push that in or kind of, do whatever you want it to be. Again, the same kind of thickness. However, at this point, it would be a good time to use toothpicks. So maybe half of a toothpick like that. Just kind of get it started in there, and then slowly kind of twist it in. Make sure it doesn't do this. See it right there? You don't want that to happen. You want it to go all the way through nice and smooth. Like that. And now we're going to make the hand, which I'm not sure if this was the part I was thinking was going to be gray or not. I will save the gray for his boots, I guess. So his hand, this is kind of where the Nintendo 64-esque type graphics come in, So we'll kind of, I guess you can size compare. It should be a little bit bigger anyway, because like I said, Nintendo 64. So kind of do that. You can use a toothpick to one of the sides, make a little slit, so it's like that. You can roll it over and kind of flatten it, and then do the same for the other part, and then kind of just work it, and you got yourself a fox hand. You can put that on the toothpick like that, and there we go. And this is a pretty good size. I like that. Just maybe gonna bend it a little bit. And now where to put this. We added some clay right there, kind of, as I said, to make him look a little bit more buff. So I'm gonna put it kind of right behind that. Right here. And because we kind of put a toothpick in his entire arm, all you're going to have to do is make sure that the clay that we use for his sleeve is that we use for, the light green part of his sleeve is kind of mushed all the way back. But other than that, it should stand pretty well because it has a toothpick going through the whole arm. And if you want to do this too, you can kind of take some green from here with a toothpick and kind of mush that together. I think that's a better way to kind of go about doing this than to just stick a toothpick through his entire arm. And it was good that we kind of got him a little buff there so that that doesn't happen. And hopefully that should stay like that. Now we're going to do the other one with the last bit of this light green that I have. We're pretty much going to do it the same way. I just want to make sure it's a good size. Yeah, it's a good size. Get the white, flatten it, get one side of this, flatten it, put it over, push the white onto the green, get some brown, make sure it's thick enough. Well, it should be thick enough. Half a toothpick, the other half. Start it through the brown. Not pushing too hard. I could have used more toothpick there. Kind of another warning is make sure your toothpick is long enough so that it either gets out the other side or you have enough to work with at the top here. So, yeah. Just a precaution there. And we're going to do the same thing with the hand, except we're going to put a gun in this hand. So, we can do that after I sculpt the hand. Flatten the bottom. Push the top. Then the thumb should be on this side this time. Flatten that out. Sculpt it out. There's our hand. And now we gotta make that gun, so I'm just gonna take a little bit of black. Not a whole lot or anything. And I'm just simply gonna, because I can't really see the details of the gun from here, and so I'm just gonna make a long narrow piece, and you can kind of use your judgment, just kind of based on how stuff looks, just to determine how big you want it or whatever. It's just a small blaster, so it doesn't need to be too big. I feel like I should kind of put in some 2 cents here as I'm kind of just working with this gun. Yeah. I don't know, I feel like I've been unusually quiet for this clay tutorial, but I guess that's kind of expected because I haven't done one since the Sonic one, and that was, or the modern Sonic one, and that was back in January of this year, I believe. So it's been quite a while since I've done a clay tutorial. I guess I just kind of got to get back into it. And again, this is the first one, so I'm sure by, the last one of the month, they'll be unnecessarily long because I'll just start talking about whatever. So I'm going to get this small piece and put it kind of on one end of the blaster. I mean, you can kind of just like mess with this however you want it to look. I mean, I can't even really see the artwork very well, but something like that. Maybe that's even a little bit too big. But once you get it looking to your liking, I'm actually going to put a little red dot on the end of it, because it looks like there's a little red dot there. Maybe like that. So, I guess I'm going to have to kind of stretch this out. Make him kind of gripping it. Like that. You may want to put a toothpick in the blaster, just depending, how you ended up making it. I'm going to add some clay kind of to the handle, just to make it look a little bit thicker. I guess this is another kind of warning type thing. I want to try and put a second toothpick in here, which is kind of dangerous because you don't want it to split the clay or anything, but I needed to kind of put in the hand, so if you're careful enough, then that should, you can put two toothpicks in one area, but you just got to be really careful. So there's that, and we'll kind of put this like we did with the other one, kind of behind his little buff area. But we'll put it down like that, kind of like the artwork suggests. Push it in. Like that. And debatably, you might want to put a toothpick in this green part of his jacket. I didn't think I was necessarily going to need to because, again, it kind of works for this arm, but for this one, I guess the weight of the gun kind of weighed it down a little bit. So you might want to. That's kind of up to you, and again, how you kind of made the gun and stuff. I guess just for the sake of showing it, I guess I will. When you're sticking toothpicks in randomly, you really got to be careful about where they end up, but I knew that one wasn't going to end up too far into anything because it wasn't very big, but just a general precaution. Same thing with this, see? That was one of the toothpicks we put in, so you got to be careful for those. I'm glad that I'm showing you guys everything that could necessarily go wrong when sculpting a clay model. So just an FYI. But essentially, after I kind of bend this a little bit, that's Fox as of right now. That's the end of this part. And we're going to finish it up with kind of the torso and the legs and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and let's finish this guy up.